Okay, right. We'll start with the 2016 one. Okay, so we'll see if we can finish 2016, 17 today. I think we can. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Right. So starting with 2016 A level question number 3. Again, 2016 was a year where you had 2 questions from unit number 1. Okay, that's why it's question number 3. What factors determine the price elasticity of demand for a consumer good? Yes, can you quickly give me the determinants of not demand, determinants of price elasticity of demand? What are the determinants? What and what do we have? Factors that affect PED. You can have the availability of substitutes. Okay, availability of substitutes. Correct. Nature of the good. Right. So nature of the good, whether it is a you need to be more clear there. You can't just say nature. Nature of the good, whether it is an essential or luxury. Okay, you can give that. Then what else? The percentage of income spent on the good. Correct. I'll copy and paste. What else? Time taken, not for the change in price, time taken from the change in price. So in the short run, you are this thing. Availability of substitute and closeness. Okay, that's the first one. And it's closeness. What else? Okay, alternative users. Correct. Alternative users of the good. Okay, so those can be different points that you have. So for homework, I want you all, now for this, you don't need that. But for homework, I want you all to know how each of these affect PED. Right now, for example, if there is a lot of closed substitutes, is it elastic or inelastic? If let's say you're spending a higher portion of income on the good, then what? Right. So for homework, that is your study area from this, because you might not get questions as easy as this in your paper. Okay. Width of definition. So width of definition, that is this, right? How you define the good. Now, for example, it's not a main factor, right? So the definition of the goods, it's like this, guys. Now, let's say, okay. Now, for example, you can define something broadly and narrowly. Okay, good question, right? You can define something broadly and narrowly. Now, for example, let's say a narrow definition would be carrot. Now, carrot is one vegetable. So if I say price of carrot and if I say price of vegetables, now vegetables is a broad definition. How do you think this connects with elasticity, guys? Okay, just think, if the price of carrot increase, what do you think will happen to QD? What do you think people would do now? Let's say carrot prices go up. People would soon switch to another vegetable, right? They would maybe buy cabbage or they would buy something. So when the good is narrowly defined, what can you say, guys? Elastic or inelastic? Narrowly defined. Something like carrot. Then the demand is elastic, right? But if you define it broadly, let's say vegetables, okay? Now, what if the price of vegetables increase? Then what do you think happens? Then there is nothing else that you can switch to, right? For lunch, you have to have vegetables. You can't switch to fruit store. You can't eat pizza or something. No, I don't know. Funds for this thing, you will have to go, right? Therefore, then demand is inelastic. So if the whatever good is broadly defined, if you say vegetables, then demand is inelastic. If you narrowly define, it's elastic. It's not a main thing, but it's also a factor. Is that okay? The one who had the question on how it's defined. Okay. Okay. Right. Then we'll go to the next question 2. Interesting question. Why is a downward sloping linear demand curve more price elastic at high price ranges and more price inelastic at lower price ranges? Problems. Let me, do I have the diagram? No, I don't have a diagram. Okay. Yes, let me copy and paste the diagram from the internet rather than drawing, right? Let me get a diagram from the internet, then it's more easier for me to explain, right? So you know that the PED, right, price elasticity of demand, changes with what? Based on where you are in the demand curve, right? So based on where you are in the demand curve, okay, now I'll copy and paste this. Okay, this one is also the previous one was better. No, I'll copy and paste this one. Okay. So if you look at the demand curve, guys, okay, listen very carefully. The topmost point over here, right? Let me highlight this in blue. Okay. The topmost point over here, you have perfectly elastic demand. PED is infinity. Then in this range between here to here, PED is elastic, greater than 1. Right in the middle, if you draw a 45-degree this thing here, over here, PED is unitary. On this side, PED is inelastic, and right over here, PED is perfectly inelastic. PED is 0. So they are asking you why. They are not asking you to explain that this is like this. They are asking you why. They are asking, why is a downward sloping demand curve more elastic at high price range? See, at the higher prices, now when the price is high, it is elastic, no? And they're asking, why is it inelastic and more inelastic at lower price ranges, guys? They're asking why. What is the reason? Why do you think? Why do you think at the higher prices demand is elastic and at the lower prices demand is inelastic? What's the reason there, guys? What happens? So how do you calculate PED? Get this. PED equals change in QD over change in price multiplied by price over QD. Okay, that's how you find the number. That's how you get this thing, right? Now listen very carefully, guys. Over here, this is a very interesting question, right? Some of you all already know. Good. Okay, so look at this. Yes, if you take the PED equation, it has two components. The first component is the change in QD over change in P. What is this also called? This is also called the slope of the demand curve. Or in other words, this is the B component, right? This is the slope of the demand. Yes, can you tell me, when we find PED at different points, does this slope change? Does this slope figure change, guys? Does this part change? This first component that I have highlighted, does this change? It doesn't change, right? That is always the same number, no? Whether I find at this point, this point, this point, this point, or whatever point I find PED, that slope doesn't change. Okay, so what is this? This one is always constant. So what does that mean? That means the value of the PED changes because this is changing. This second component here, this second component, I'll highlight it in, let's say, red, right? Because this is changing, this price to quantity ratio. What do we call this? The price to quantity ratio. Because this is changing only, the PED changes. Because at every given point, slope is the same. Go back to your theory notes, guys. Theory revision people, recordings are there. You all other people also. Definitely it's there in whatever note that you're studying. Okay. You will see when you calculate PED at each of these points, this slope doesn't change. But this price to quantity ratio changes. Now just think, guys. Now do the normal maths and see. At higher price ranges, let's take this range here. I'm highlighting in green. At higher price ranges, this price is high. Numerator is high. Quantity is low, no? When the price is high, QD is low, no? So price is high, QD is low. What does that mean? The numerator is high, denominator is low, means your PED will take a higher value, no? Numerator is high, denominator is low, so your final answer will take a higher value. Now look at the lower price ranges. I'll highlight this in, let's say, orange. right? These price ranges, the lower prices. Here, the price is low, okay? In this range, in the orange range, price is low, QD is high, right? Numerator is low, denominator is very high. So what does that mean? Your PED will take a lower value. Now that is why it becomes elastic and inelastic. So at higher price ranges, so you need, how do you answer this question? You need to say PED is calculated like this. In this, the first component, which is the slope of the demand curve, remains constant. Therefore, the value of PED changes because of this component. This component is what you call the price to quantity ratio. Because this changes, only PED changes. Then you can say at higher price ranges, this price to quantity ratio is high. That means the price is high, QD is low. So therefore, PED takes a higher value. In other words, an elastic value. But in the lower price ranges, this price to quantity ratio is low, meaning price is low, QD is high. Therefore, this takes a inelastic value. That kind of explanation is what you need to give. I'm not going to spoon feed the answer one by one. You can go through the past paper answer for that. But did you understand the logic behind that? Why does the value of PED change along the curve? Because this price to quantity ratio changes. If you were a part of my theory or revision class, go to in your tute. In one place, we do this calculation. We do a calculation like this. I remember teaching you all at each and every point, we calculate PED. And then I show you how does it change. Okay. So if you were there, if you have that recording, I think we would have done unit number 2 long ago, but the recording is still available. No? You can always go and watch and look into that. Okay. Is that okay, guys? Others also I'll find. Okay. Right. We'll move into the next. Okay, this one is very easy, guys. Given the income elasticity, how would you classify? So how do you classify, guys? Based on YED. If your YED is positive, it's a normal good. If your YED is negative, it's an inferior good, right? If your YED is positive and greater than 1, then it's a luxury. Positive and less than 1, then it's a necessity, or you can call it a essential good. Okay, that's how you classify. Very basic, you should be knowing. So can you quickly give me answers, guys? Bottled water, YED 1.3, what is it? Luxury, necessity, inferior. It's a luxury. Okay. Cowpea minus 0.8, inferior. Bread 0.5, bread, necessity, right? Give the word that is in the question, guys. Don't say essential, give necessity, better. Mobile phones 1.8, again, luxury, right? So these are the easiest 4 marks I think you can ever get in your paper. As long as you know how to divide, you don't have to explain, you just have to classify it as luxury, necessity, and inferior. Right, that is also done. Then we come to this. Can you see the questions are getting easy, no? The diagram below shows the demand and supply curve for a good in a competitive market. Assume the government has now imposed a tax of 60 rupees per unit. By how much will consumer surplus change? Right. First thing that you need to figure out is how do you shift the supply curve? If you figure this out, the question is easy. I'll draw 3 supply curves. I want you to tell me which one is the correct one. Okay. The blue one, the green one, the red one. There is a tax of 60. Tell me which is the correct supply curve after tax. The blue, the green, the red. Because if you don't figure that out, you get the whole question wrong. How do I figure that out? That's the problem. Is it the blue? Is it the green? Is it the red? Now, before one is there, green, blue, or red. How do you figure this? 60% of y'all are giving me the correct answer, but 40% of y'all are wrong. Whatever that is nicely matching, so we'll go with that. What is the logic? Remember, guys. So if the now remember, now this is where your supply curve knowledge comes. If there is a tax of 60, okay, the difference between the two supply curves have to be 60, guys. Remember, the difference between the two supply curves is the unit tax, no? The difference between the vertical difference between the two supply curves is the unit tax. So tell me, where do we have a difference of 60? Is it between this and this we have a difference of 60? Or this and this do we have a difference of 60? Or this and this do we have a difference? Where do we have a difference of 60, guys? It's with the green curve, right? See, now if they said in the question, if they said the tax is 30 rupees, then it would have been different. Now here they're saying tax is 60. What does that mean, guys? The difference between the two supply curves have to be 60, because remember, this difference is the unit tax, no? Now remember, when we draw the, this is equilibrium before, right? Remember, I'll draw this, right? This is equilibrium. Let's say there is a demand curve. This is equilibrium before. This is equilibrium after. Remember, when we find the tax, right? From here to here, this is the unit tax. The difference between the two supply curves. So make a note there and keep, guys, in your this thing. The difference between the two supply curves should be equal to the unit tax. So then I need to figure out how do I exactly draw it. And also you can't draw it something like this because it's a unit tax. It's not a ad valorem tax. So it has to be a parallel shift with a difference of 60. Now, if they said the tax is 30 rupees, then you can draw it like this. See, now see, the difference between these two curves are 30 here. Here this is 60, this is 30. Difference is 30, correct. But they have said tax is 60. So be very careful. Is that okay, guys? How do you figure out the supply after tax? Because once you figure that out, other parts are easy. Where you make the mistake is here. Okay? Right. Then they're asking you by how much will consumer surplus change? Okay, so can you all quickly give me the numbers, guys? Now, consumer surplus before is this part. How much is that? How much is CS before? How much is CS before? 60,000. This is the S plus T. Okay. CS before is this area. So you all are saying 60,000. Fine. How much is CS after? CS after is this area. This is CS after. How much is that? That's 15,000, right? So CS before is 60,000. Before is 60,000. After is 15,000. So what is the change in consumer surplus? You can say it has decreased by 45,000, or you need to say minus 45,000. Okay. If they say tax burden of producer, I'll come. Give me a second, I'll come to those. Okay. That is the first one. Is that okay, guys? Step. First answer, before 60, after 15. So the decrease by 45,000. I'm hoping you all know how to find the areas. The area is, the green area is the consumer surplus before the tax. The orange area is the consumer surplus after the tax. Okay. Then same thing with producer surplus. What is the area? Producer surplus before is this entire area. Producer surplus after is which area? Is this area. Yeah. Is the numbers the same, guys? Same, no? So do you get a different number? Same numbers, no? So here also before is 60, after is 15. Therefore, the change is it has decreased by 45,000. Producer surplus also same numbers as consumer surplus. What is the revenue collected by the government? Revenue collected by the government is which area? Revenue collected by the government is this area. Yeah, right. I'll summarize it again, guys. Don't worry. Yes, this is a normal tax calculation. They made it very simple as ever. Okay. So how much is that? 60 into 1000. 60 into 1000 is 60. 60,000. Then dead weight loss. Which area is dead weight loss? Dead weight loss is this red area. Yeah. How much is that? Half into uh half into no, that's not 60,000. No, half into 60 into 1000. There's a half. That should be 30,000. The dead weight loss is a 30,000. Is that okay, guys? That's the easiest 8 marks that you can get. So once again, to quickly summarize, since one person wanted, first thing that you need to figure out is how the supply curve shifts. So this is the supply curve before, and they have told you there is a tax of 60. So that means supply curve has to shift. The vertical difference between the two supply curves have to be 60. So I shift it to this level. So therefore, this difference here, this difference between the two supply curves is equal to 60. So once you do that, then it's a normal calculation. The normal, now my whole diagram is a little bit of a messed one, but let me try to show that again. Okay. So consumer surplus before will be this area. So the area, hold on. Consumer surplus before will be this area, right? Producer surplus before will be this area. Consumer surplus after will be this area. Producer surplus after will be this area. Government tax revenue will be that's a normal thing, guys. Tax revenue will be this area, this purple color box, and then the last orange color one will be the dead weight. That's a normal how a tax works. So if you can figure out how the supply curve shifts, then it's a very easy question to get done. Okay. If the elastic changes, will the difference between the two supply curve change? Yeah, if the elasticity changes, yes, but then you don't get a change in the slope. No? So in our syllabus, when a tax comes, the slope doesn't change. So if the slope changes, only the elasticity will change. No? It will become more steep or this thing. So our equation would be, for example, if this is QS equals minus 50 plus 5p, after tax it would be QS equals, let's say, minus 100 plus 5p. This 5p doesn't change. No? Just go and see. After tax and all, when you make the new supply equation, the B component doesn't change. So you're not seeing a shift in the slope. Okay, it's that A component that is going up and down. So it's a parallel shift. Okay, right. That is 2016. It's an okay paper. How do you all think you all did? First one is the factors that determine PED. Second one is why is the thing elastic inelastic. Third one is one of the easiest questions. Fourth one is also pretty easy. The only tricky part I think would have been this one, the second question. How much do you all think you all got? First one 4 marks, second one 4, third one 4, last one did you all get 8 out of 8? No, pretty easy one. Should be able to get. Okay. So remember, guys, I'll give you a small target, right? So our target is now these are target to get an A, right? For the ones who are targeting for more than that, forget about this. The ones who are targeting an A 75, you know, the easiest thing. From unit number 1, 2, and 3, you get 3 questions. 1, 2, and 3, you get 3 questions. Now, that is what we have been doing in the past paper class so far. Now, so far, you all have been doing well. For those who have been coming, unit number 1, you all did. Now, 2 and 3 also you all are doing. So, your target is from these 3 questions to score 18. Do you think 18 is impossible? No, right? Now, some of you all, when I asked you all how many marks you all got for this question, you all told me 18. Some of you all told me 20 or 20 also. So after properly studying, there's still 6 months to go for A levels. No, after doing all the papers, studying this again and again, I don't think 18 is hard to get. So if you can get 18 for the first 3 questions, 18 into 3, that gives you 54 marks. How much do you need for A now? We'll forget about paper 1 for now. For paper 2, you have to get 75 now. So to get 75, you need another 21 marks. So what does that mean? So this is question number 1, 2, and 3. The basic 3 questions, or maybe 1, 2, and 4. You try to get 18. So 18 into 3, 54 marks. You need another 21 marks to get 75. 75, and given that you do paper 1 also, you get a 75, you get an A. So 21 marks means for question number, let's say you do 6 and 7, question number 6 from unit number 7, question number 7 from unit number 8. So how much do you need? You only need 10.5 out of 20, right, per question. So you only need like half the mark out of that. So question number 6 and 7, you can score half the mark. That is not hard. That is very easy. When we do the past papers, I'll show you all. Right now, you all will think that is hard. But when we do the past papers, you'll realize again that is also very easy. So even if you get half the mark of that thing, you can still get 21 and still get that A. That's why I told for econ, A is too easy. See, you can just study the first 3 units, master the first 3 units, get 54. Another 2 units, even if you do the basics for unit number 7 and 8, you do the basics and you score half the mark, right? Out of 20, you score only 10 marks. 10 over 11. One question you score 10, one question you score 11. Still you get a 75 November. So just think for the ones who don't get A for econ, how stupid they would have been. Or they would have not planned their thing properly. I don't know who taught them, but you know, it is very easy, guys, if you can plan it properly and get it done. But I'll tell you, not everyone will get an A. That's a different story. That depends on how you write and all of it. But what I'm trying to tell you is getting that A is very easy. Because now itself you all are seeing, when if you actually have done the past papers and come, you are seeing from these questions out of 20, you're easily getting 18. So if you're getting 18, you need to get 18 for question number 1, 2, and 3. That's 54 marks. Another 21 should come from question number 6 and 7. 21, trust me, it's very easy. That also you can go. Now, our fast track class, we will focus on 18 for all 5. We'll try to focus 20 out of 20, but you will make a careless mistake somewhere. No? So you get 18 for all 5 questions. You know, yes, do you all have some confidence that question number 1, 2, 3 that you can get an 18 for now? Based on what we have done, if you are properly following the past paper class, based on the questions that come, and given that 6 months to go now, you will study a little bit more also, no, guys. Not that you're doing the exam tomorrow, no, you have 6 months to go. You will do mock exams, you will do, you know, more work. There is some confidence, right? It's not an impossible thing, right? You also feel, right, I can get 18, I can make a careless mistake. Sometimes I can even get 20 out of 20 depending on the question. So if you can do that for all 5 questions, which we will try and name and do with the fast track program, you will get a 90 there. Others also, even if you're not in the fast track, guys, focus on the 90, right? Don't think of 75 and settle there. I'll tell you, if you're aiming for a local university, even the smallest of things matter for your Z score. So if you're at a level of 75, don't say, right, right, let me stop studying. No, do it as much as possible. The more and more A levels is getting postponed. Am I lagging? Sorry, right? The more and more A levels get postponed, the more and more everyone is studying. Okay, so if A levels get postponed more and more and more, I don't know when A levels would happen, but if A levels get postponed and postponed and postponed, so everyone's going to study and study and study. So you need to do very well if you want to get a higher Z. So now, the more it gets postponed, I'll tell you, more people are going to do well because it gives them more time. Okay, so even the person who was, let's say earlier, he thought he would fail. Now somehow last moment he studied something and he also passed. So everyone will do well now with A levels getting postponed. So if you are at a 75 level, don't stick to that. Push to the 100. Somehow push to the 100. Yeah, date is not fixed yet. They are saying October. They are saying November. We don't know. We'll see. Okay. Right. That is the 2016 one. Give me a second. Let me end that recording.